A mean woman kicked my disabled daughter's legs at KFC just because she uses a wheelchair. My 8-year-old was crying and asking why the lady hurt her when she was being good. The evil woman smiled and said broken kids don't belong in restaurants. She didn't know I'm a Navy SEAL. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The sound of my 8-year-old daughter crying in pain filled the busy KFC restaurant. But she wasn't crying because she fell down or got hurt by accident. She was crying because a mean woman in fancy clothes had just kicked her legs really hard on purpose. My daughter can't walk and uses a wheelchair, and this evil woman hurt her just because she's disabled. My name is Marcus Rodriguez. I'm a Navy SEAL, which means I'm a special soldier who fights bad guys in dangerous places. I've been doing this job for 12 years. I've fought terrorists and saved people from very scary situations. But nothing prepared me for watching someone hurt my disabled daughter while I was just 10 feet away buying her lunch. Emma is my whole world. She's my beautiful 8-year-old daughter who was born with something called spina bifida. This means her back didn't grow right when she was in her mommy's belly, so now she can't move her legs or walk. She has to use a wheelchair to get around everywhere she goes. But Emma is the happiest kid you'll ever meet. She always smiles and never feels sorry for herself. She loves to draw butterflies, watch Disney movies, and go to KFC with Daddy for special lunch dates. Even though she can't walk, Emma is super smart and gets good grades in school. She's also very kind and always tries to help other people feel better when they're sad. Emma's mommy died when Emma was only 3 years old. The doctors tried to fix something inside her mommy's body, but it went wrong and she died. So now it's just me and Emma together. Every day I try to be the best daddy I can be. I learned how to braid her hair, help her with homework, and make sure she knows how much I love her. The hardest part isn't taking care of Emma. The hardest part is when mean people stare at her wheelchair or treat her like she's not a normal kid. Some people act like there's something wrong with Emma just because she can't walk. But there's nothing wrong with my daughter. She's perfect exactly the way she is. 6 months ago we moved to a new neighborhood called Sunset Hills. It's a fancy place with nice houses and an HOA, which means there's a group that makes rules for everyone who lives there. I thought it would be a great place for Emma to make friends and feel safe. I made our house perfect for Emma. We built ramps so she could get in and out easily. We made the doors bigger so her wheelchair could fit through. We changed the bathroom so Emma could use it by herself. Everything was ready for us to start our new life together. But there was one big problem in our new neighborhood. Her name was Karen Whitman. Karen was a 55-year-old woman who thought she owned the whole neighborhood. She used to work at a bank, but now she was retired. She spent all day looking for things to complain about and ways to make other people miserable. She had gray hair that was always perfect, cold blue eyes, and a mean mouth that only said nasty things. From the first day we moved in, Karen made it clear she didn't want a disabled kid living in her neighborhood. She complained about the wheelchair ramp we built on our house. She said it was ugly and made the neighborhood look bad. She called the city and complained about the handicap parking sign in our driveway. She even told me that Emma would be happier living in a special place for disabled kids instead of a normal neighborhood. Karen got meaner and meaner as time went on. She would stand at her window and watch us every time Emma and I went outside. She would take pictures of us and send complaints to the HOA about everything we did. She complained when Emma's medical equipment was delivered to our house. She complained when Emma's teacher came to visit. She even called the police one time and said there was suspicious activity at our house just because Emma's therapist came to help her. The worst thing Karen did happened 2 weeks before our KFC trip. Emma was playing in our backyard with her therapy dog named Buddy. Buddy is a golden retriever who helps Emma with exercises and makes her feel safe. He never barks or causes problems, and he's protected by law because he's a service dog. Karen came over to our fence that day and started screaming about how Buddy was bothering her. When I told her that Buddy was a service dog helping Emma with her disability, Karen said something so mean it made my heart hurt. "That child is a problem for this neighborhood," Karen said with hate in her voice. "We moved here to get away from kids like her. Maybe if you can't take care of your broken daughter properly, you should give her away to people who can handle disabled kids." I had to walk away before I did something I would regret. This woman was calling my perfect daughter broken and telling me to give her away. It was the meanest thing anyone had ever said about Emma, and it came from someone who lived right next door to us. Karen found out that Emma and I went to KFC every week for special daddy-daughter lunch dates. It was our favorite thing to do together. Emma loved the chicken tenders and I loved seeing her smile when we sat together and talked about her week at school. But Karen started coming to the same KFC just to be mean to us. She would sit at a table near us and say loud, nasty things for everyone to hear. Some people have no respect for others, she would say loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear. Bringing problem children to family restaurants where they don't belong. It's not fair to make normal families deal with medical issues during their lunch. Emma didn't understand why this mean lady kept saying hurtful things about her. She started asking if we could eat somewhere else because the mean lady scared her. But I didn't want to let Karen's hate chase us away from Emma's favorite place. I should have listened to Emma's feelings about the danger. I should have known Karen would try to hurt us. On that terrible Tuesday, Emma and I went to KFC for our regular lunch date. Emma had just gotten an A on her math test and wanted to celebrate with her favorite honey barbecue chicken tenders. She was wearing her pretty pink dress with butterflies on it and had asked me to put her hair in pigtails with pink ribbons. She looked so beautiful and was so proud of her good grade. The restaurant was full of people eating lunch. There were families with kids, workers grabbing quick food, and office people on their lunch breaks. Emma's wheelchair was at a corner table where she wouldn't be in anyone's way. She was coloring in her activity book and humming quietly to herself. She looked so happy and peaceful. I was standing in line at the counter, ordering Emma's usual meal. I could see her through the crowd and she looked perfectly content. She was completely focused on her coloring and didn't know there was any danger around her. That's when Karen Whitman walked into the restaurant like a storm ready to destroy everything good in the world. She saw Emma right away and her face filled with disgust and hate. Instead of leaving or picking a different restaurant, Karen decided to do something that would change our lives forever and show everyone what a monster she really was. Karen walked straight toward Emma's table with evil in her eyes. Her high heels made loud clicking sounds on the floor. Some customers noticed her walking toward Emma with an angry face, but nobody could guess what horrible thing she was planning to do to an innocent disabled child. "You again," Karen said loudly, standing over Emma's wheelchair like a bully. "I'm sick of seeing you and your medical equipment taking up space where normal kids should be able to eat in peace." Emma looked up from her coloring book with scared, confused eyes. She didn't understand why this angry woman was yelling at her. "I'm just coloring," Emma said in her small, quiet voice. "I'm not bothering anyone. My daddy is getting our lunch." "You bother me just by being here," Karen said with pure meanness in her voice. "Disabled kids like you should stay home where normal people don't have to look at your problems. This is a family restaurant, not a hospital." Before I could push through the crowd to save my daughter, before any of the shocked customers could stop her, Karen lifted her leg and kicked Emma's wheelchair-bound legs as hard as she could. The kick was so hard that Emma's wheelchair rocked backward and her coloring book flew across the floor. Emma screamed in pain and terror. She started crying so hard that it broke my heart into a million pieces. Emma couldn't understand why someone would hurt her when she had done nothing wrong. "Maybe now you'll learn to keep your broken child where she belongs," Karen said with a satisfied smile, looking happy that she had hurt my innocent daughter. The whole restaurant went completely silent except for Emma's heartbroken crying. Every customer, worker, and manager stood in shock at what they had just seen. Many people started recording with their phones, getting proof of the cruelest thing any of them had ever witnessed. My Navy SEAL training kicked in right away. Years of fighting in wars had taught me how to stay calm under pressure and how to protect innocent people from dangerous enemies. But this wasn't a war zone. This was my disabled daughter being attacked by a crazy woman in a public restaurant. I moved through the crowd faster than lightning. Karen was still standing over Emma's wheelchair, looking proud of what she had done, when I got to them in just a few seconds. "Get away from my daughter," I said in the calm, steady voice I used when commanding soldiers in battle. "Right now." Karen turned to face me with attitude and disrespect, thinking she could scare me like she scared other families in our neighborhood. "Your brat was taking up space and bothering other customers," she said without feeling sorry at all. "Someone had to teach her that disabled kids don't belong in public places where normal people are trying to eat." "You just made the worst mistake of your entire life," I said, staying calm even though I was furious inside. "I am Staff Sergeant Marcus Rodriguez, United States Navy SEALs. You just attacked a disabled child in front of dozens of witnesses." Karen's face went white when she realized who she was dealing with, but she was too mean and stubborn to apologize or back down. "I don't care what your job is," she said, though her voice was shaking now. "Your daughter doesn't belong here, and I was protecting normal families from having to deal with her medical problems during their lunch." By now, the restaurant manager had called 911 and police officers were already coming. Other customers had surrounded Emma to comfort her and were recording Karen's confession with their phones. "Ma'am, you need to leave right now," the manager told Karen. "We have security cameras that recorded everything, and the police are coming to arrest you for attacking a child." "This is unfair to normal people," Karen said, still not feeling sorry for hurting Emma. We have rights too, and we shouldn't have to put up with disabled kids ruining our peaceful meals. The police got there in just a few minutes. Officer Thompson was the main cop, and he had dealt with all kinds of criminals before. When he saw Emma still crying in her wheelchair and heard what Karen had done, he got very serious and angry. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for attacking a child and hurting a disabled person," Officer Thompson said as he put handcuffs on Karen. "You have the right to stay quiet, but you already confessed to everyone here anyway." "This is harassment," Karen screamed as they took her to the police car. "I was defending normal families from having to deal with medical problems during lunch. That child doesn't belong in public restaurants where she might spread wheelchair germs to other people's food." Even the other police officers looked disgusted by what Karen said. They had arrested murderers and drug dealers who felt more sorry than this woman who attacked a disabled 8-year-old just for existing in public. While Karen was being taken to jail, I knelt down next to Emma's wheelchair and held her while she kept crying from the pain and confusion of being attacked by a stranger. "Daddy, why did that mean lady hurt me?" Emma asked through her tears. "I was being good and staying in my chair like you always tell me. Did I do something wrong to make her mad?" "No, sweet girl," I whispered, trying not to cry myself. "You did nothing wrong at all. That woman is sick in her heart and she made a terrible choice. But Daddy is here now and she can never hurt you again." The paramedics came to check if Emma was hurt and found big bruises on her legs where Karen had kicked her. Emma couldn't feel the physical pain because of her spina bifida, but the emotional hurt was really bad and would need a doctor to help her understand why someone would attack her for being disabled. Dr. Sarah Chin was a child doctor who happened to be eating lunch at the restaurant. She came over to help Emma deal with what had just happened. "Sweetheart, what happened to you was not your fault," she told Emma kindly. "Some grown-ups make very bad choices, but that doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. You're a beautiful, brave little girl and your daddy loves you very much." Over the next few days, everyone in our town and many other places heard about Karen attacking Emma. The security camera at KFC recorded everything clearly, showing Karen's attack on a disabled child who was sitting quietly and not bothering anyone. The camera also recorded her mean words about Emma not belonging in public and how happy she was about hurting an innocent little girl. The district attorney decided to punish Karen as much as the law allowed. They charged her with serious assault on a child, battery against a disabled person, and hate crimes because she targeted Emma specifically for being disabled. The evidence was perfect, with video footage, lots of witnesses and Karen's own recorded confession. During police questioning, Karen still didn't feel sorry for what she did. She kept saying that disabled kids should be kept away from normal families and that she had been doing a good thing by teaching Emma her place in society. Her complete lack of caring about Emma's humanity made even experienced police officers feel sick. The first court hearing was packed with people from our community, disability rights groups, and other military families who wanted to support Emma and condemn Karen's actions. Emma was too young to speak in court, but the video evidence said everything that needed to be said. Karen's expensive lawyer tried to say she was having a bad day and acted without thinking, but the prosecution showed evidence of her months of harassment against our family. Her pattern of targeting Emma's disability proved that the attack came from deliberate hate rather than a moment of anger. When the case went to trial, the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence against Karen. The KFC security video was shown to the jury, displaying the moment when Karen kicked Emma's legs and Emma's terrified crying afterward. Several witnesses testified about Karen's cruel words and obvious happiness at hurting a disabled child. The most powerful testimony came from Dr. Chin, who explained how the attack affected Emma's mental health and sense of safety in public places. She described how kids with disabilities already face many challenges in society, and deliberate attacks like Karen's can cause lasting trauma that affects their willingness to participate in normal activities. Emma's special education teacher testified about the progress Emma had made in becoming more confident and independent, and how Karen's attack had caused her to go backward in her emotional growth. Emma had started having nightmares about mean ladies hurting her and had become scared to go to public places where she might meet hostile strangers. My testimony focused on Emma's character and how Karen's attack affected our family. I described Emma's gentle nature, her good grades despite her physical challenges, and her love for simple things like our father-daughter lunch dates. I explained how Karen's months of harassment had led up to this violent attack that traumatized my innocent daughter. "Emma is the bravest person I know," I told the jury. "She faces every day with a smile despite challenges that would defeat most adults. She has never complained about her disability or asked why she can't walk like other kids. All she wanted was to eat lunch at her favorite restaurant and color in her book. Karen Whitman attacked her for the crime of existing while disabled. The defense tried to make Karen look like a woman under stress who acted out of character, but the evidence showed clearly that she had deep hatred toward disabled people. Phone records showed that Karen had called the restaurant many times asking about their policy on wheelchairs and medical equipment, trying to get Emma banned from the place. The jury took less than 2 hours to decide Karen was guilty of all charges. When they announced their decision, Karen showed no emotion, still believing that she had done nothing wrong by attacking a disabled child. During the sentencing hearing, the judge made a statement that brought justice for Emma and condemned Karen's evil actions. "Mrs. Whitman, in 30 years as a judge, I have never seen such cruel meanness toward an innocent child," the judge said sternly. "You targeted an 8-year-old girl specifically because of her disability, attacking her in a public place where she had every right to be. Your actions represent the worst of human nature, the strong attacking the weak with no reason other than hate and prejudice." Karen was sentenced to 3 years in state prison, 5 years of probation, mandatory anger management and sensitivity training, and she had to pay for all of Emma's medical and counseling expenses. She also got a permanent restraining order that prohibited any contact with Emma or our family, and she was banned from the KFC restaurant where the attack happened. The HOA immediately kicked Karen out of our community and gave our family a formal apology. They made new rules specifically protecting disabled residents from harassment and discrimination, making sure no other family would face the systematic targeting that we had endured. The KFC restaurant put up a memorial plaque dedicated to Emma's courage and strength, and designated a special table as the Emma Rodriguez Friendship Table, where families with disabled children would always be welcome. The staff got training about serving customers with disabilities, and the restaurant became a model for inclusive service in our community. Emma's recovery was slow but steady. With help from Dr. Chin and other counselors, she learned to process the trauma of being attacked and developed ways to deal with future encounters with ignorant or hostile people. The outpouring of support from our community helped restore her faith in human kindness and her confidence in public spaces. 6 months after the attack, Emma and I went back to KFC for our first lunch date since the incident. She was nervous at first, but the warm welcome from the staff and seeing her memorial plaque helped her realize that she was surrounded by people who valued and protected her. "Daddy, the mean lady can't hurt me anymore, right?" Emma asked as we sat at her special table. "That's right, sweet girl," I told her. "She's in prison where she can't hurt anyone, and there are laws that protect kids like you from people like her. Most importantly, Daddy will always be here to keep you safe." Today, Emma is a happy 10-year-old who has learned that while some people in the world are cruel and ignorant, there are many more who will stand up to protect vulnerable children from harm. She has become a spokesperson for disability rights, speaking at schools and community events about acceptance and inclusion. Karen served her full sentence and was released 18 months ago under strict probation conditions. She lost her home, her savings, and her reputation in the community. Most importantly, she learned that attacking innocent children will result in severe consequences and that disability is not something to be ashamed of or hidden from society. Emma's story is ultimately one of courage, strength, and the triumph of love over hate. She survived a senseless attack and came out stronger, surrounded by a community that celebrates her achievements and protects her right to participate fully in society. Karen Whitman learned that some children have fathers who are trained to fight monsters, and who will never stop protecting their daughters from evil people who mistake kindness for weakness. That's the ending Karen never expected when she decided to attack a disabled child whose father happened to be a Navy SEAL. But it's exactly the justice that Emma deserved, and exactly the consequences that hate and cruelty always earn in the end. The restaurant still has Emma's friendship table, and every week new families come there knowing it's a safe place where all children are welcome. Emma's courage changed not just our lives, but the lives of countless other families who now have a place where they know their disabled children will be treated with respect and kindness. Karen thought she could hurt an innocent child and get away with it. She thought wrong. And now everyone knows that love always wins over hate, and that heroes come in all sizes, even 8-year-old girls in wheelchairs who refuse to let mean people steal their joy. The most beautiful part of this whole story is that Emma never let Karen's hate change her sweet heart. She still smiles at strangers, still believes most people are good, and still loves her weekly lunch dates with Daddy. That's the real victory, not just that Karen went to prison, but that Emma kept her beautiful spirit despite everything that happened to her. Some people tried to break my daughter's spirit, but they failed. Emma is still the brightest light in any room she enters, and she always will be. That's what real strength looks like, and that's what real victory means. Let me tell you more about the months that followed Karen's attack, because the real story is about how our community came together to protect Emma and show her that love is stronger than hate. After Karen was sentenced to prison, amazing things started happening in our town. The local news station did a special report about Emma's story, and it touched so many hearts that donations started pouring in from all over the country. People sent money to help with Emma's therapy costs, but they also sent something even more valuable: letters of love and support. Emma received thousands of letters from kids all over America. Children with disabilities wrote to tell her they understood how she felt. Kids without disabilities wrote to say they thought she was brave and they wanted to be her friend. Teachers brought whole classes to visit Emma and learn about inclusion and kindness. Every single letter made Emma smile bigger and helped heal the hurt that Karen had caused. One letter that made us both cry came from a little boy named Tommy in Texas. He wrote, "Dear Emma, I have autism and kids are sometimes mean to me too. But my mom says that mean people are just scared because they don't understand that being different is actually really cool. I think you are the coolest girl ever because you don't let mean people stop you from being happy. I wish I could be your friend and we could color together." Emma insisted on writing back to every single child who sent her a letter. It took us months, but she wanted each kid to know how much their kindness meant to her. She would spend hours at our kitchen table, carefully writing thank you notes and drawing pictures of butterflies for each new friend she had made. The butterfly became Emma's symbol of hope and transformation. She told everyone that butterflies start as caterpillars who can't fly, but then they change into something beautiful that can soar high above all the mean people who try to hurt them. "That's like me, Daddy," she said one day while drawing. "Karen tried to keep me on the ground, but I'm going to fly anyway." Our local schools started inviting Emma to speak to classes about disability awareness and bullying prevention. At first I was worried it might be too much for her, but Emma loved sharing her story and helping other kids understand that being different doesn't mean being less than anyone else. During one school visit, a little girl raised her hand and asked Emma if she was sad that she couldn't walk. Emma thought about it for a moment and then said, "Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to run and jump like you do. But then I remember that my wheelchair is like my superpower. It helps me go really fast down hills and it means I always have a seat wherever I go. Plus, I can do wheelies that would make skateboarders jealous." The whole classroom erupted in laughter and applause. That's when I knew for certain that Karen's attack had not broken my daughter's spirit. If anything, it had made her stronger and more determined to spread joy wherever she went. The KFC where the attack happened became a symbol of Emma's strength and our community's values. The manager, Mrs. Rodriguez, told me that business had actually increased since Emma's story became known. Families were specifically choosing to eat there because they knew it was a place that stood up for kids with disabilities. Mrs. Rodriguez also told me something that made my heart swell with pride. She said that several customers had approached her after hearing Emma's story and asked if they could donate money to create a special fund for families with disabled children who needed help with medical expenses or equipment. Within 6 months, the Emma's Angels Fund had raised over $50,000 to help local families. "Your daughter didn't just survive that attack," Mrs. Rodriguez told me. "She turned something horrible into something beautiful that's helping dozens of other families. That takes a special kind of courage." The most touching moment came when Emma decided she wanted to visit other kids with disabilities who were stuck in hospitals. She asked if we could bring coloring books and butterfly stickers to children who couldn't leave their beds to go to restaurants like KFC. Our first hospital visit was to the children's cancer ward at the local medical center. Emma wheeled her chair from room to room, talking to kids who were fighting battles far bigger than anything she had ever faced. She gave each child a coloring book and taught them how to draw butterflies that could fly over any obstacle. One little boy named Alex was only 5 years old and had been in the hospital for 3 months fighting leukemia. He hadn't smiled or spoken to anyone in weeks, according to his nurses. But when Emma rolled into his room and started showing him how to draw butterfly wings, something magical happened. "Do butterflies get sick too?" Alex asked quietly, the first words he had spoken in days. "Sometimes they do," Emma replied seriously. "But even when they're sick, they're still beautiful. And when they get better, they can fly even higher than before because they're so happy to be healthy again." Alex picked up his crayon and started coloring for the first time since he had been admitted to the hospital. His mother started crying tears of joy, and the nurses said it was the first sign of hope they had seen from him in months. That visit changed Emma's life completely. She had discovered her true calling, using her own experience with adversity to help other children find strength and hope in their darkest moments. We started visiting hospitals every month, and Emma's butterfly messages of hope began spreading throughout the medical community. Dr. Chin, the child psychologist who had helped Emma after Karen's attack, was amazed by Emma's transformation. "I've never seen a child turn trauma into triumph so completely," she told me during one of our follow-up appointments. "Emma has taken her pain and turned it into purpose. She's becoming a healer." The ripple effects of Emma's courage continued to spread throughout our community and beyond. The HOA that had expelled Karen completely restructured their organization to focus on inclusion and community support rather than rules and restrictions. They established a community care committee dedicated to helping families with special needs and making sure no one ever felt unwelcome in the neighborhood again. Other HOAs across the state began adopting similar policies after hearing about Emma's story. Disability rights organizations started using our experience as an example of how communities could transform themselves from places of exclusion to places of acceptance and support. Karen's trial had been covered extensively by local and national media, and the story of Emma's resilience in the face of such cruelty had captured hearts across the country. We received interview requests from major television networks, magazine publishers, and even movie producers who wanted to tell Emma's story. While we appreciated the attention and the opportunity to spread awareness about disability rights, I was always careful to make sure that Emma's well-being came first. We only accepted interviews and appearances that Emma genuinely wanted to do, and we always made sure she understood that her value didn't come from being famous but from being the kind, brave, wonderful person she was. One interview that Emma particularly enjoyed was with a children's television show that featured kids who had overcome challenges to help others. Emma appeared on the show wearing her favorite butterfly dress and brought along some of the artwork that children from the hospital had created during her visits. "I want other kids to know that mean people like Karen exist, but good people are everywhere too," Emma told the television host. "And if someone is mean to you because you're different, that says something bad about them, not about you. You're perfect exactly the way you are." The show received thousands of emails from parents thanking Emma for her message of hope and acceptance. Many families wrote to say that Emma's words had helped their own children deal with bullying or discrimination. As Emma's 10th birthday approached, our community decided to throw her a celebration that would show her how much she meant to all of us. The planning committee included families from our neighborhood, staff from the KFC restaurant, nurses from the hospitals Emma visited, teachers from the schools where she had spoken, and dozens of other people whose lives had been touched by her story. The party was held in our town's Central Park, and it was unlike anything I had ever seen. There were butterfly decorations everywhere, face painting stations, adaptive carnival games that children with all kinds of disabilities could enjoy, and a special stage where Emma could address the crowd. More than 2,000 people came to celebrate Emma's birthday and to show their support for inclusive communities where all children are valued and protected. Local businesses donated food, entertainment, and prizes. The mayor presented Emma with a key to the city and declared her birthday, Emma Rodriguez Inclusion Day, to be celebrated every year. But the most meaningful moment came when a group of children from the hospital cancer ward arrived in a specially decorated bus. These were kids that Emma had visited during their treatments, and many of them were now healthy enough to attend the party. They had worked together to create a giant poster thanking Emma for bringing hope and joy during their darkest days. Alex, the little boy who had started coloring again after Emma's visit, walked up to Emma's wheelchair and handed her a small gift box. Inside was a hand-painted butterfly ornament with the words, "Thank you for teaching me to fly," written in his careful 5-year-old handwriting. Emma hugged Alex and told him, "You taught me something too. You taught me that helping other people is the best way to heal your own heart." As I watched my daughter surrounded by hundreds of people who loved and supported her, I thought about how different our lives had become since that terrible day at KFC. Karen's attack was supposed to hurt Emma and make her feel ashamed of who she was. Instead, it had revealed Emma's incredible strength and inspired an entire community to become better, more inclusive, and more compassionate. The local newspaper ran a special feature story about Emma's birthday celebration, with the headline "From Victim to Victory: How One Girl's Courage Changed a Community." The article talked about all the positive changes that had happened since Karen's attack: the new HOA policies, the hospital program, the school awareness campaigns, and the Emma's Angels Fund that had helped dozens of families. But Emma wasn't interested in being called a victim or a hero. When the reporter asked her how she wanted to be remembered, she said simply, "I just want people to remember that being kind is always better than being mean, and that everyone deserves to be treated with respect no matter what they look like or how their body works." 6 months after her birthday party, Emma received a letter that surprised us both. It was from Karen, written from her prison cell. The letter was short and simple. "Emma, I am sorry for hurting you. I was wrong and I hope someday you can forgive me. You are a braver person than I ever was. Emma read the letter several times before looking up at me with serious eyes. Daddy, do you think Karen learned how to be nice? I don't know, sweetheart, I told her honestly. But I think writing that letter was probably the first nice thing she's done in a very long time. Emma thought about it for a while and then asked if she could write back to Karen. I was hesitant at first, but Emma's therapist thought it might be healing for both of them if Emma felt ready to respond. Emma's letter to Karen was exactly what I expected from my wise, compassionate daughter. Dear Karen, thank you for saying sorry. I forgive you because holding on to anger makes my heart heavy, and I like my heart to be light so it can fly like a butterfly. I hope you learn to be kind to other people because being mean makes you feel bad inside. Maybe when you get out of prison, you can help kids instead of hurting them. Love, Emma. We never heard back from Karen, but Emma felt good about sending the letter. I forgave her for me, not for her, Emma explained. When you forgive someone, it doesn't mean what they did was okay. It just means you're not going to let their meanness live in your heart anymore. Today, 3 years after Karen's attack, Emma is thriving in ways I never could have imagined. She continues to visit children in hospitals, speak at schools about inclusion and kindness, and serve as a youth ambassador for several disability rights organizations. Her butterfly artwork has been featured in galleries, and she's working on a children's book about accepting differences and finding strength after adversity. The Emma's Angels Fund has grown to provide assistance to hundreds of families across 3 states. The KFC where the attack happened still displays Emma's friendship table prominently, and it has become a destination for families traveling through our area who want to show their children a place where love conquered hate. Emma's story has been shared in schools, churches, community centers, and conferences around the world. She has received letters from children on every continent, all inspired by her message that differences make us special, not less than. But perhaps the most important outcome of Emma's journey is the simple fact that she remains exactly who she always was, a happy, kind, brave little girl who sees the best in people and believes that love always wins in the end. Karen's attempt to break her spirit not only failed, but it revealed the incredible strength that was inside Emma all along. As I watch Emma wheeling around our backyard, playing with her therapy dog Buddy and laughing at something funny he's doing, I'm reminded that the real victory isn't that Karen went to prison or that our community rallied around us. The real victory is that Emma never let anyone convince her that she was anything less than perfect exactly as she is. And that's a lesson that will serve her well for the rest of her extraordinary life.